Creating a fine handling car is all about physics. If you put all the heavy components as low as possible and bring the engine as close to the middle as possible, you're giving yourself a massive advantage. And this car, the Porsche Cayman, is one of the finest mid-engine sports cars money can buy. But it's not alone in its mid-engine rear-wheel drive layout. It's got a British rival in the shape of the Lotus Evora. So let's find out how they compare head-to-head in an Auto Express track battle. The 3.4 litre flat 6 engine produces 320 brake horsepower and it sprints to 60 miles per hour in just 4 seconds. And the 3.5 litre Toyota base V6 pumps out 345 brake horsepower. With a 6-speed manual gearbox, it sprints to 60 miles per hour in 4.7 seconds. This is the Cayman S with the optional PDK gearbox. We've also got the optional dynamic transmission mounts as part of the Sport Chrono Pack, but we haven't got the optional adaptive dampers. So it's 3.4 litres, flat 6 engine obviously. Now it's got 320 horsepower, so that's actually 25 horsepower down on the Lotus, and it's got 30 newton meters less torque than the Lotus, but it's 86 kilograms lighter, so I think it's going to be a very close contest. So we'll just go around this first lap, a little bit of heat into the tyres. Now the Porsche's really well balanced. Obviously you feel the L's very aggressive with throttle, cold tyres. You can get it to lose traction, but with that engine mid-mounted, it's just so well balanced in the high-speed corners, really stable under braking as well. It's quite long ratios with this PDK gearbox, so some of these corners are actually in second gear, even though they're relatively quick corners. Here, a long load on the car. You feel there, we can dial in a little bit of oversteer as we're trying to get heat in the tyres, but again, you've got to be pretty brutal to make it do that. It's just so stable. There's lots of feel through the steering. It's good through this high speed change of direction there. Okay, so we're going to come around now and start our flying lap against the clock. Second gear. And come to the last few corners before we get to the start line. So we're just getting ready now. Make sure we get a nice clean exit to start our flying lap. So a clean exit from the last corner. Hard on the power. And across the start line. Hard braking here, down to second gear. You can really lean on the brakes in the Porsche. Very stable under hard braking. Just running close to the curb. Hard on the power here out of the corner. Lots of grip, very little understeer. Plenty of traction. Hard on the power. Big stop now into the chicane. So braking about the 400 metre point. Down to second gear. Hard on the brakes all the way into the apex. Amazing traction on the exit. Really hard on the power. Up to third gear. Fourth gear, the PDK shift is really quick. It's good on the downshift as well. Plenty of blip on the downshift. Really carrying speed into there. Third gear, back to second gear, and again here just on the way in. Loads of grip on the way in. Really lean on the car. So well balanced. Plenty of sensation of what's going on through this high speed S's. Carrying lots of speed through there. Over 100 on the exit up to fourth gear. Hard braking. Down to second. Into the apex, nice and tidy. Big bump there, it copes to the bump really well. Last corner, trying to carry some speed through, keep it tidy. Cross the line. So the £51,000 Porsche Cayman S managed a lap time of 1 minute 11.7 seconds. But can the £67,000 Lotus Evora S do it any quicker? Cayman really impressed on track, so it's really amazing traction, very stable at high speed, strong brakes. So let's see how the Lotus compares. Obviously it's a slightly different proposition. For starters, we've got a manual gearbox rather than a dual clutch paddle shift gearbox, and this is the sports racer version of the Evora S, so it's got lots of extra kit thrown at it, but mechanically it's pretty much the same as the Evora S. More power, more torque than the Porsche, but it's heavier. And crucially, the big difference is obviously the Evora is a 2+2, so the engine's mounted quite high up, whereas in the Cayman it's very low, so the weight's a bit higher in the Lotus. So it'd be interesting to see whether that rears its head when you're driving on track. You also have to not rush the gear shift. If you rush it, it's easy to miss a shift. can certainly feel straight away that there's more movement in the Lotus. So when you brake, the nose dives a bit more. You can feel that the weight transfer is a bit more obvious, as you can feel the weight moving around more. So it makes the car a little bit edgy, but feel there a little bit more oversteer. When it brakes away a bit more dramatically than the Cayman. But Lotus has made that V6 Toyota-based engine sound pretty good. So there's quite a nice exhaust note. The steering is very light, quite fast. So it bodes well. I think it's going to be a close call. So let's come round and start the flying lap. So into the last corner before the start-finish line. Try to keep the power down, don't lose traction. The Lotus has got an open diff, so you have to be careful not to lose traction. Will spin an unloaded wheel if you're not careful. It's pretty good through there, although the change of direction, not quite as good as the Porsche. A little bit more understeer through this section than in the Porsche, up to third gear. Quite a similar braking point to the Porsche, but the pedal's a bit softer in the Lotus. The ABS comes in a bit sooner and a bit harder, but not a lot in it. And traction is pretty good there as well on the exit. Hard on the power, third gear. Through the high-speed corners, again you can feel the weight, so they're a bit more, loads of oversteer, so that costs quite a lot of time. And that's where you really feel that difference to the Porsche. It's just not quite as tied down through the quick stuff. And again, a little bit of understeer on the exit there. Through the high speed, change of direction, again, a bit wary of the rear end wanting to come round. Lots of feel though, so it's certainly fun. Second gear, into the apex, turning's quite good, nice front end in those mid-speed corners. Last corner again, nice turning. Again, it's got to watch that the rate transferring, the rear coming round, trying to get some traction, and across the line. Driving these cars on track really highlights the benefits of a mid-engine layout. Both reward precise driving and they feel fully at home on the racetrack. But against the stopwatch, it was the Porsche that came out on top, and it's also the car that's the most enjoyable to live with day to day. Plus, it's over £10,000 cheaper than the Lotus. So I'm afraid, as good as the Lotus is, it's a clear win for this fantastic Porsche.